Hi, I'm DR.S.BARATH. In this video, I thought I'll just fundamentally analyze the Hindustan Unilever stock. Of course, that is what I plan to discuss today. The reason why I took this is, of course, I did always when I buy some stock, I always try to do not only just technical, but also if I'm going to hold the stock for a long term, I would like to do some kind of fundamental analysis. When I was analyzing this Hindustan Unilever and when I going through the annual report and the balance sheet, I really found something which was a little bit way off the mark. So that alarmed me, and I really wanted to do a little bit of research into that. And why I'll explain in this video why I got alarmed about certain figures, and then what I did to just understand what is really happening, and then finally I'll come to a conclusion as to what we can do about the stock. Now, before getting into this video, it's a very strict disclaimer. This video is intended just as an educational purpose. It is by no way a stock selling or a buying recommendation. I hold Hindustan Unilever in my personal portfolio, and I do this discussion so that everyone can just be enlightened about the balance sheet analysis. And of course, this also will throw some light into how a company's balance sheet or the annual report can be analyzed in some very brief points. So let's get into the video. Yeah, now this is the Hindustan Unilever, that is the balance sheet of the company. Probably just make it a little bit bigger. Yeah, see, when I was going through the balance sheet, two things was really very astounding, and I was a little bit perplexed about what is the reason. Now, when we see a company's balance sheet, we know what are the current assets and liabilities and everything. And generally, one concept of a balance sheet is, see, generally when you don't have to really look into every figure in a very depth and details about the balance sheet. But when something is really that is compared to the previous years, but when something really looks very odd and really off the mark compared to the previous years, that is when we need to be a little bit careful, and we need to exercise caution there, and we need to do a little bit of detailed research there. Now, when that is happening, we see that in the assets section under the non-current assets, I saw that the goodwill component earlier, that is last year, it was only 36 crores. This year it is almost 17,300 crores. And then there is another concept, that is the intangible assets. So that earlier it was around 400 crores. Now again it is way off. It is almost say 28,000 crores. So this I was a little bit perplexed to know what is that. Now basically a goodwill and the intangible assets are all like something like a brand value. It has got no tangible value, that is it. That is, say if it is going to be a fixed asset like a land or a property or some machinery, that all comes as tangible assets. Now intangible is something that you don't see in the physical world, but it has got some value, something like a brand value, that is what it is. Now what is the reason why the brand value is so inflated here, that is specifically this year compared to the last year? So we had to do a little bit of detailed research. Now whenever we analyze a balance sheet, it is not enough just if we see the figures. If we need to know the details about these figures, we need to see the notes section. That is where all the details will be tucked in. So here they say that the notes, both these things is in the notes 4A and 4A. So I thought rather we'll go into the notes. Now basically we just search the notes, and then this is actually the note, that is 4 and A. So here it is actually the goodwill and other intangible assets, the component is written here. Again here you see that the goodwill component is around 17,300 crores, and the intangible again is 27,800 crores roughly. Again they have not really specified the details, but again they have tucked it under something called as a note number 41. So then I had to just go through that note. I'll explain you here what is that. Yeah, now this is the note number 41. Now basically what is this? Now this is a note where they say that they have actually, of course there were a few other points which are here and there. I didn't want to really go into a lot of details about that, but then the note 41, business combination, is what written. Now here you see that they have acquired the brand called as Indulekha. Now when we see when we just see the figures, it is roughly around say 330 crores what is being listed here. That is what has been acquired through this brand. So basically they spent some around close to around 350 crores to acquire this brand. So that also doesn't equate to the figure that is shown there. And then they have actually acquired another brand called as Aditya Milk brand. Again, that also seems to be a very small merger, like close to around 65 to 70 crores is what is the merger. So that also really doesn't answer our question. Now if we go down further, then they have acquired another brand called as VWash. It's actually a personal hygiene product. It has become a little bit popular. Again, that is not a major acquisition. It is coming to close to around almost say around 300 crores or so. So again, that also doesn't answer any of the questions. That is the high inflated figure. And then finally comes the major part which they have put to the last. That is actually, you can very clearly see here, that is amalgamation of GlaxoSmithKline Consumer Healthcare Limited. Now this is actually a major acquisition where they have spent almost say 40,000 and 240 crores. How they have spent it? They have spent it by giving almost 4.39 shares of Hindustan Unilever per share of GlaxoSmithKline. So which amounts to almost the number of shares is 18 crore and 50 lakh shares which is being shown here. That is why the amount of 40,000 to 40 crores is coming here. So what is the reason that they have given it for? Now when we see that they have acquired the consumer healthcare section of GlaxoSmithKline. Now what is that mainly that they have been doing? When we see into the details of this, it's quite interesting. Of course, everything was already in news and so, but then we really didn't know what was that. So I just wanted to see the balance sheet. Now you can very clearly see that under the intangible assets, it is the right of use of Horlicks brand, which is a very famous brand. Anyone in India should be knowing what is Horlicks, and that is alone is coming to almost say 19,000 crores. And then again the Boost, the brand, that is the beverage brand, the Boost, again that comes to almost say around 5,000 crores. So now this closely answers our question. So this alone comes to almost say 30,000 crores. And then there were again some intellectual property rights about certain other things, the Horlicks brand, I think that comes to another 3,000 crores. So then it did really answer our question. Now then if you really analyze the further things, then it makes really sense as to why they have spent so much amount on all these things. And of course it's actually a highly cash generating business and the brand that they have acquired. So then it answers our question that they have not really faltered on the business point. Now I would really like to emphasize why I want to do a little bit of research. Now in the previous years, definitely large companies have really done some accounting fraud when it comes to intangible assets and the goodwill concept. One of the famous fraud that did happen in the US way back in almost 2003 or so is actually the WorldCom. Now this WorldCom was one of the major telecommunication or probably say telephone based companies in the US that time. Just for you to understand why I really wanted to explain this point and why I got alarmed about it is, you can see that now earlier WorldCom did a lot of fraudulent activities about their business aspects, and that is in the balance sheet. Now once it was discovered about that, finally anything eventually after a few years it gets really reflected in the income and the cash flow statement, and then eventually they get caught up. What did happen is, once they got caught up, it is almost say, you see that it is in 2003, it is one of the biggest fraud in the financial markets which did happen. You can see clearly here, WorldCom said it wrote off $45 billion of goodwill on its books as impaired. So basically what it means, it did mean that it actually cooked up the books and they actually inflated the value of the goodwill, which was actually not there, by almost say $45 billion. So whenever we see something with suspicion, we always need to do a little bit of research. We need to clarify, and whenever we put our money into the stock market, we need to think that we are the owners of the business. Whether you buy 1 share or 100 shares or whatever be it, even though we are retail traders, if we want to invest in the stock market, we need to know something about the basics of where we are investing and what we are doing, what we are buying. Is it really the company that we are buying is worth it? So if that we can do it only if we really read the annual reports of the company, just crunch a little bit of the numbers. We don't have to really crunch a lot of numbers, but at least the basics, that is the company when we plan to buy, what is that they are doing, what is the manufacturing, and are they really making some profits. Now once we are convinced about the company that we are buying, when we see that the balance sheet, income statement, everything is being reflected properly, then we will have some conviction as to whether we can hold that company or not. In that case, probably when the market is going to crash, we will have some conviction and really hold on to the company. Say suppose we are not really going through the balance sheets, and see, it doesn't take a lot of time. Of course it just takes some time, but it is actually quite interesting if you are interested to go through the balance sheet. Now once we know the balance sheet or the income statement, or to really know the company profile, then if at all there is going to be a slight market correction or a crash, or when we hear some unnecessary noise, that's what we can say, there will be a lot of news. We have to separate the actually the relevant news from the noise. When we see a lot of noise, we will not be really swayed by that. We can actually really stick on to our decision, but that we can have the conviction only if we really go through the company and we understand that, and if we really understand that we are part owners of that business, we will be able to do that. So that is the only clear intention why I actually analyze this video. Of course I used to analyze a lot of stocks. It's quite interesting. So when I saw this, it really was a little bit alarming at first instance, but then once I analyze the balance sheet, I know that what they have done is actually a proper one, and they have really stuck on to the proper accounting standards. Of course that is to the best of knowledge that I can see. So I really don't see a red flag here, and I don't think the company is actually going into any kind of fraudulent activities. I think it is a very well managed company. That's the reason. In fact, people who have been watching my trade section also, you know that I hold some kind of put options, and I always have some kind of long position in Hindustan Unilever, and this kind of analysis will just actually basically give us some logic as to what we are doing. So coming to the conclusion part of this video, I am still very bullish about the company. Of course, though the FMCG sector has not been really doing good, I am still holding it for the long term, and considering the fact that they have been acquiring really good brands which has really got some value, which will not go off in the near future. When they are doing something of that, I think the company is doing something good. So compared to the price that is trading now, I think it is really available at a good attractive valuation from my viewpoint. Again, it's a very strict disclaimer. It is not a stock buying and selling recommendation. I just give you my viewpoints as to what I think about this stock and what I am planning to do. It's very simple. I have sold some put options. When it comes to the rate that I have sold, I am ready to take delivery, and I will be sitting on the stock with a long term horizon. I really don't mind sitting in that, and I will keep selling some calls. I will make some money out of it. So that is it. This is how we need to analyze some basic fundamentals. Now if you had really gained a few points out of this video, please do consider hitting the like button, and I would definitely like to hear your valuable comments. And if you find this video useful, please subscribe, and kindly do register your comments. Thank you all for watching. Wish you a very good health.